Hey everyone, and welcome to my weakness synergy guide, which is going to be the last synergy I cover. What this synergy is, to put it simply, is just each time there is a healing received by your troops, your normal attacks transform to weakness attacks for 5 seconds, and that's possible with Jamie's awakening skill. You can find more about the synergy if you click on this commander icon and then on the down left side and then go to weakness lineup. Here you can see multiple options for your synergy and how to build it, and the main enabler for it is Jamie, as he makes the swapping from normal attacks to weakness attacks possible. And in addition to what I just said, he also makes it so that for every one weakness attack taken by the target lineup, the weakness damage is increased. However, for Jimmy to work, you need one healer alongside him, and you can see here there are like various commanders that are recommended together with him, but it doesn't have to be any of these three to start the synergy. You can just have, as an example, Arslan here as a commander that gives you some healing, and then you activate the synergy even though it's a weaker version of it, since the other ones are stronger. Let's go with what Arslan does first, because I opened him. He heals one lineup every 8 seconds for 2% of the wounded, and it's only one lineup, but with his weapon I believe he heals 2 lineups. That's all there is to him. Then we have these 3 commanders, Enzo, Lutz and Drake. They are all identical and work for their troop type specifically, and you can even combine them. So let's say you want to run a double weakness setup, which would be Drake and Enzo. So you put Jamie, Drake, Enzo, and you need some cavalry and spearmen to have this work, and then you receive healing for both the spear lineup from Drake and from Enzo on the cav one, and the awakening skill is identical. And the awakening skill is basically every 3 seconds you have your defense increased by 7%. It can stack up to 4 times, and when fully stacked, every 3 seconds heal 1% of the wounded for each cav lineup for Enzo, inf lineup for Lutz, and spear lineup for Drake. And it's the same stats for the weapons as well, which you can just change the troop type when looking at the screen right now. So you can see that every troop type has a recommendation, but what works best for this synergy is spears, as most of the commanders, especially as you grow your account stronger and stronger, are going to be spear oriented. It works at like a low spender bracket for cav and inf as well, but look at the cav and inf lineup first, that is recommended here, and then we can dive deeper into spearmen. Okay, so let's start with Winton. He gives a bit of cav stats which you will need, and he reduces army defense and infantry health. His awakening skill is that he increases the front row's health by 15% after landing 50 weakness attacks. He silences one random enemy commander for the rest of the battle and can only be triggered once. So he is good against a female lineup, but it's not that great. Like if you don't have luck in silencing, let's say Layla, then yeah, you're not gonna do much. But something I forgot to mention is how the weakness synergy works, and is that you only focus one lineup specifically. So let's say you have 5 commanders. Say from the female commanders, you have this cav setup here with Layla, Salma, Arya, Lena, Jean. You will bring 5 different rows to the battle, and weakness is gonna kill one of them until there's nothing left, and then move on to the next and start from 0 again stack up again, kill it, then go to the next. So you're not attacking all of the rows simultaneously. You're just going on them one by one. But yeah, that's it. There's not much else to understand in this synergy and how it works. So let's continue. What we have here now is as next Rob. What he is basically just a stat booster. He gives cav health and defense, and for every one successful cavalry hit, you get 2% attack. Then we have Patello, who's good in, like, generally in for weakness, but especially so for spear and infantry. What his awakening skill does is that after 25 seconds or 10 instances of healing, he increases the front row's damage by 30% and increases their damage reduction for 8% of the whole battle. So he is very good even in this cav lineup. But again, I would not use pure cav lineup. I would just mix it with Layla, Salma, and somebody else to run a hybrid formation, but I would not run a full weakness setup. Up next, for infantry recommendations, we have Faiz. He gives infantry stats for attack and defense, and for each one weakness attack done by infantry, he increases their health by 3% to a maximum of 60%. So it's essentially just a good stat booster. Then we have Seg, who is also just stat boosting. He gives 13% to total stats, so both attack, defense, and health for the first 10 seconds of the battle. And that's it. So now we basically covered cav and infantry already, since Patello can be used in both, and Lutz is just Enzo and Drake in awakening skill. Then up next we have Goral, who gives some spear stats and is essentially also just a stat booster, and his awakening skill just decreases the target's defense by 3% for every one spearman strikes. So you just play him in a full spear lineup to make the best out of his awakening skill, though it's not really a great one. Moving up, here we start to see that spears really flourish in this synergy, as every single other commander gives a lot of spear stats, and combined with their awakening skills make the synergy snowball even further and easier. First commander here we have Hector, who gives spear stats and reduces cav health. Then his awakening skill is that after receiving active army skill damage, so you use him against a female synergy, all lineups heal 50% of the damage taken and increases the attack by 15%. To explain him, it's basically that against bleed he has no use, as there will be no active army skill. There are only normal attacks that you just pile with crit buffs and whatnot. So his only real use is against female synergy, so against most of the time just cavalry and bowmen. Then up next we have like an upgraded version of him, so to say, Baelish. He gives total attack, defense, and health, and his awakening skill is that for each 8 weakness attacks that have been initiated, or 25 seconds after the battle starts, disharmony is inflicted on the enemy commanders with 80% chance of succeeding and can only be cast once, and it gives the enemy commanders a 50% chance of missing their active army skills. So he is great against female synergy as well. And he's not as limited as Wyndon. Then up next we have Dana. She gives spear attack, reduces infantry versus spear counter ratio by 25%, which is huge. And her awakening skill is that once the battle begins, she increases spearman defense by 40% for the rest of the battle. And when allied troops land 10 weakness attacks, all lineups of that troop type gain 1 shield that absorb 60% of damage for 3 seconds. But it does not work against split damage. So she's just a great pick overall. Then up next we have Irmidon. Gives total stats, and his awakening skill is that at the start of the battle, the front row gets a special effect where every 10 weakness attacks from the front row, Irmidon attacks 2 random enemy targets, once with a 100% damage coefficient, and he also increases the damage received by the target lineup by 6% from weakness attacks. So effectively, he is like a better Patello. Then up next, we have Night King, who gives total attack, increases casualty rate, and reduces the enemy army attack. And his awakening skill is that when any of the allied lineups suffer losses more than 20%, he summons White Walkers into that lineup to participate in the battle, with the numbers being 90% of what you lost. And at the same time, they also have a 20% increased attack. He is great to use with his weapon into synergy. Then next we have the strongest commanders for this synergy yet, and that is going to be Sararer. He increases the damage against infantry by 15%, gives total attack and spear health, and his awakening skill is at the start of the battle, he heals all allied spearman lineups once every 5 seconds by 5% of the damage. And he also casts a poisonous fog upon all enemy troops once every 6 seconds, which gives weakness AoE, which normally does not happen. So he's the first commander for this synergy to deal AoE damage and just allows the numbers to snowball faster. His healing is also better than Drake's, but you can still use him at the same time as Drake. Depends on what your opponent will be. It can be really good. The damage of the poisonous fog is 50% of the troops attack, and if weakness attack is inflicted on that target damaged by poisonous fog, then it will deal another 160% of damage. Now let's move on to Greyworm, who gives spear health, damage, defense, and total attack. His awakening skill is the exact same as Jamie with his 4-star weapon, but additionally, for every 10% of allied troops lost, the enemy takes 1% more weakness damage, and he cannot be used at the same time as Jamie. This concludes now the commanders for this synergy. And I will post the recommended lineups for all spending brackets that I've seen being used or used myself. Now moving on, let's look at the dragon skills. There are only 2 of them that you will need, and that's the Dragon Tear. Basically, for each 10 weakness attacks triggered by your troops, there is a 30% chance of summoning the dragon to launch 1 attack with the damage coefficient of 50% against the current target lineup. So it's not against all lineups, but only 1. And you can trigger it up to 10 times. It's a skill that's similar to follow-up for female synergy. Then up next we have the Dragon Weakness, and there for every 10 weakness attacks initiated by your troops, the current target's lineup's health will be reduced by 1.5% up to 60%. Up next we have the castle skins, with one honorable mention that I want to do for the for the lower spenders, being Sunken, which, although it's not increasing your weakness output or anything like that, Sunken really helps overall, both in RTS events and PvP and reinforcement alike. It's just an all-in-all good castle skin to have. But if you look at castle skins for this synergy to be improved, like specifically, then we have City of Divine Wisdom, which is in my opinion the best one to have. You can get it from the jackpot event for 2 million, and in its bonuses is that the first weakness attack inflicts silence to 1 random enemy commander. So this works great against the female synergy, as silence means that the commander is unable to cast active army skills. And the other skin that's good for weakness is Water Gardens. It does the exact same as City of Divine Wisdom, but it has less spear stats. Then for the marching skins, we have Persevering Flame. It's a skin in the dice event, and it gives 30% spear attack. It's a nice stat boost to have, and you can also just slowly grind towards it. Other than that, we have the Tranquil Protection. This one is in the jackpot event once again, and how it helps the weakness synergy is that the first attack inflicts a damage increase. The target takes 30% more damage from weakness attacks, so it just increases your weakness attack and this makes the synergy stronger. Next up we have the advisors, and there is only 2 mentions to have for spears, which are Sansa. She improves the heal effect received by soldiers in the same column as the commander, and Missandei. At the 20th second of the battle, she heals 6% of the wounded soldiers in the same column. And for the purple advisors, we have Maester Luwin, who is the exact same as Sansa, only with giving a lesser heal effect. And Edison, who is the exact same as Missandei, but also with just less healing coefficient. That's about it for the synergy. I hope the guide was helpful, and I will see you guys if there is any update on it. See ya!